Welcome to the Central Pennsylvania Music Podcast. Tonight, Michael Anthony Smith and Jake Mach. This episode is sponsored by Downtown Hershey Association. And now your hosts, Daniel Kime and Alan McCutcheon.
Hello and welcome to the Central Pennsylvania Music Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel. Coming up, we have an interview with Michael Anthony Smith, board member from the Central Pennsylvania Music Hall of Fame, as well as an interview and live performance from Jake Mach. Please stay tuned and enjoy. We're here with Michael Anthony Smith. Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for making the trek out here. You've been involved with the Hall of Fame for a little while now, correct?
I have. I'm still kind of getting my feet wet in there.
Okay. And you come from the radio industry as well, which is how you got involved with the Music Hall of Fame.
I spent about 25 years working at the River 97.3. Before that, I was at 93.5 WTPA and Starview 92.7. All these places, I'm playing local music. So I guess this is how I ended up with the Hall of Fame.
Gotcha. I mean, I guess it makes sense that they all correlate with each other.
Yeah.
So you've done a little bit of time in radio, I guess we could say. How did you get into this in the beginning?
Well, I was working at a place in Harrisburg called Francis for Ford. It's a big old Ford dealership in Harrisburg. Don't look for them; they're not there anymore. But I was there one day, and a morning show from Starview 92.7 showed up, and I was talking to Colleen, who was there, and I said, I've always wanted to work in radio. What should I do? And she said, well, I would go to WKBO and tell them that you want to intern. They'll teach you how to do the business. They won't pay you, but you'll get what you need to know in your head. So I said, okay, I'll be right back. I went and cleaned out my desk, quit my job. I said, I'm on my way to WKBO right now. I thought that this was a magnificent triumph in my life. I came home. Mom, you're not going to believe this. I quit my job and I'm working in radio now. Full-on ugly cry. She was letting me have it. I can't believe you did this. Your father got you that job selling cars. You were going to make decent money, and now look at you. You're working in radio. And that's how I ended up there.
Wow. That's not the story I was expecting.
Well, that's the way that it happened.
But it looks like it worked out well over the years.
I hope it did. I'm still in it, and I'm waiting for something else to go good. So, yeah, no, I'm happy there. I enjoy what I'm doing. And it's a weird place to work because, I go in there in the morning and I'm talking to people about music that they're listening to, and it's not even registering with me that I'm helping people get their day started. They're kind of counting on me to be there. But it is what it is. I've been doing this for so long, I don't even think about who's out there paying attention to me and listening. I just go in there to do the show. And then I find out that there are people that just listen every day, and that just completely humbles me.
Yeah, so not to downplay it at all, but it's almost just like, oh yeah, this is just my job, and you don't think about the fact that you have an impact on every single person's, not every, but many of people's day every day.
It's weird because I don't think about who's out there listening, but there are people out there listening. I make jokes to the people in the building where I'll say, yeah, it's time for us to entertain those 3 people listening to the radio. There's more than 3 people listening.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
Way more.
You got to be up to about 6 or 7 by now. No. But there are people listening, and they're starting their day with me, and I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. That means something.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, so you help people start your day, and you were saying earlier off air that you've done multiple different shifts on the radio to the point where you're there in the morning, the night, and the afternoon. So you were all the way in this at one point where this was your whole life all day, every day.
And you know what? I like that. I was working at the River 97.3 for a little while, and I needed to get another job. And it looked like I was going to have to leave the radio station in order to do this. And I got in touch with my program director and said, hey, look, I'm just going to have to get a different job. I can't keep working here because, hang on a minute. He puts me on hold for a minute, and he goes, are you interested in doing traffic? Well, I don't know. I've never done traffic. And long story short, I'm showing up there then to do traffic. I'm doing traffic in the morning and the afternoon, and I didn't do that bad of a job, actually. I love driving around, I enjoyed driving down here to see you guys. It was a good time.
Yeah.
So doing traffic kind of really lent itself to me, and it made me happy where I'm working now at WIOO in Carlisle. I would get traffic from the guy who replaced me at iHeartMedia. And I guess the owner of the radio station got tired of hearing me complaining about him, because sometimes I would hear about an accident on 81 southbound in the area of 2nd Street. If you know much about I-81, you know 2nd Street ain't there.
No.
I would get mad, and why are we even talking to this guy? I'd hear about 83 northbound at 17th Street. There's no 17th Street northbound.
There is not.
These kinds of things were driving me insane. And finally, the owner of the station came up to me and says, "Would you feel better if we just let you do the traffic?" And I looked at him like, "Are you serious?" "I'll do that, yeah." So that's how I ended up doing traffic. I'm doing my regular air shift, and I'm doing traffic every morning, and I'm happy as a clam doing that.
So when you say, I know this is kind of, I guess, slightly off topic, but on topic, when you say doing traffic, like, are you doing the reports yourself? Like,
Yeah.
Who are you getting the information from to then do the traffic report?
I get the information from the Total Traffic Network, which is actually the traffic company that I used to work for. And when I was at iHeartMedia doing traffic, I would look at a website called cctraffic.net, and that would give me the rundown of everything that was happening out there on the roads, the different colors for different severities and locations, so forth and so on. So I would get basically the same information that their reporters would get.
Okay.
But then when I would see something that just didn't make sense, I had a phone number that I could call to scream and yell. Oh, and I did. I have nothing against the people there, by the way. I just want this to be right. And so I would get on the phone with them and scream and yell, and they would fix it, and everything would go on, and we'd be perfectly fine. But
so this Total Traffic Network, this isn't something that's like state run or something like that, is it?
no, it's actually run. I think that it was run by iHeartMedia.
Okay.
And they sublet it out to other radio stations. And I think that we're unique in the fact that we're actually doing the traffic ourselves, because they made it try to sound like, it's not as easy as you guys might think. Bring it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't know who you're dealing with. Bring me the traffic.
You want to know. It's funny because I guess I never really put much thought into it, but it just listening to the radio and you hear the traffic, you just kind of picture somebody sitting there reading off of a piece of paper. And you're actually doing the research yourself. Correct.
Some of the research, and there have been times where I knew about a traffic problem that didn't show up on my computer, but driving into work, I would find a disabled tractor trailer in the middle of US 11. I thought people need to know about that.
Yep.
And we'd put it out there. I would try to call Philadelphia to let those folks know about it. Nobody would answer the phone. I'm like, well, fine, I'll put it in my report, and
they'll find it when they find it.
They'll find it when they find it.
So I think we all know who to go to for the traffic reports now.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm happy that anybody's listening.
Yeah, I am happy to listen. And I've been. It was funny whenever Brandon, told us Brandon Books was the one that booked you, and it's like Michael Anthony Smith, and I was like, man, that name sounds familiar. I'm like, oh yeah, I listened to this guy on the radio my whole life. Okay,
it's familiar to me too. I feel like I know the guy.
Yeah. So you've been in radio for years. You also have a music project as well. And what was the name of your music project?
Name of the band is Michael Anthony Smith and the Dirty Thieving Gypsies.
All right.
Now, I've gotten mail from gypsies all over the world going, what a magnificently racist name that is, and they would read me the riot act. I would answer them back in the Rumnachal language, which is a language that you just can't go out and buy a book and learn how to say. Like, you learn it from your family.
Okay.
I am a Rumnachal gypsy. My father was one, and we were called Dirty Thieving Gypsies pretty much my whole life. And finally, one day, I went to Dad and said, hey, listen, I got an idea for a band name. What do you think of Dirty Thieving Gypsies? And he sat there for a couple seconds. I just started laughing because that's hilarious. So people in the family are going to hate you for it, but do it. So that's how I got the name of the band. I'm not busting on anybody that has any gypsy blood in them or anything whatsoever. Yeah, but
it's got the father's approval. I think that's enough, right?
If my dad said it's okay, I don't care what anybody else has to say.
There you go. So you put out your first album, if I'm remembering this correct, around 2014.
Around 2014, the Carnival Smile album was our first one. I was pretty happy with that. We took it out on the played a bunch of shows, and I wanted to get back in the studio and do something again because I thought, well, we're gonna get the ball rolling here. I want to put out more music, and as fate would have it, one Sunday or one summer day, my daughter and I go to Maryland to see family at the beach, and I'm walking on hot blacktop. I ended up getting a foot infection called osteomyelitis, which I didn't know anything about. And I woke up one morning and I looked down at my foot and it was purple.
That's not good.
That's what I said. So I called work. I said, hey, look, I'm not going to be able to come in today. My foot's purple. I need to go to the doctor and find out why.
Yeah.
And they're like, hang on a minute. And they come back. No, we need you to come in. I said, I'm not coming in. So I go to the hospital, and they said, yeah, we're going to have to do some operating on you. These toes got to go. And I'm finally at the point where I just want to get my life back together, please. God help me.
Yeah.
And they took that part of my foot off, and that kind of put me on the disabled list for quite some time.
Yeah, it's not just something small.
No. So I had to recover from that, and I was lucky that when we recorded the Carnival Smile album, there was a lot of leftover songs.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up piecing together what I thought was a pretty good album with those songs on it. And here we are. That album is now out, and I'm trying to get people to listen to that. I hope that you do too, and I hope that you enjoy the music. I know that I did. I enjoyed making it.
Yeah. And the first album was Carnival Smile. What was the second one?
Carnival Smile. The second album was called Destiny.
Destiny. Okay.
Interesting story about that. I mean, we'd already had the songs already recorded, and we had a friend come in to do some backing vocals and play some guitar. And as it turned out, the cover art was shot by a girl named Tina Welsh, who was a friend of ours who lived up here for a while, but now lives down in Lancaster, Virginia. Oh. Down in Virginia, they call it Lancaster. Up here it's Lancaster.
Lancaster, yep.
We've got to make sure we get that right. But Tina and Donna were friends. And I said, what do you think of what's going to be our album cover? She looks at the picture and she goes, that's really cool. You need to call the album Destiny. I got a cold chill when she said that because the first song on the album is a song called Destiny. She could not have possibly known that in a million years.
That's wild.
But so many things on this album just kind of came together in strange ways that I can't. If I try to explain it to somebody, they're going to go, yeah, right, you're just making that up. No, I'm not.
It was destiny,
you
might say.
Thank you. It was destiny. Beautifully done.
Wow. That's amazing. And I think we talked a little bit earlier about the album. You said something about the drummer for this, right?
Yeah. Now, Leon Grickus is our drummer. He's been our drummer since day one. There's a couple of times where we had to get a different drummer in to do a show that he couldn't make a chance to do that. And when I gotten out of the hospital after all the craziness that was going on, we still had a couple of songs that we were adding to the album. And one of them was a song called Song of Love. And I'm behind the drum kit, and I'm just basically making a racket. It's just not coming together at all. And Rick Johns, who was producing the album, looked at me and says, okay, who did you want the drums to sound like on this album? I said, well, my favorite drummer is a guy named Joe Vitale. He played for Joe Walsh and Barnstorm for years and years. He was Crosby, Stills, and Nash's drummer for forever.
Mm-hmm.
He looks at me and goes, okay, do you know how to get in touch with him? I said, yes. And so we reached out to him through a friend of mine who actually lived in Australia, put us in touch with Joe Vitale, and he said, yeah, I'll do it. So he ended up playing drums on my childhood hero was on my album.
That's amazing.
He's an incredible drummer.
So you have a friend in Australia that knows him personally?
Yes.
There's a lot to unpack there.
And Mark is a wonderful guy too. And Mark, I hope you're watching this so you can hear your name being used in this. But Mark Lane is a wonderful friend. He and I have been friends for a number of years. But I'm a huge fan of Joe Walsh, and so is he. And he worked in radio down in Australia, and he had an interview with Joe Vitale one day, and he's talking to him the way that you and I are talking to each other right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they struck up a friendship, and it's still there, you know. And when Joe was touring the United States, Mark came here from Australia and spent some time going to see him live, you know, and somehow he was able to get on the phone and talk Joe Vitale into playing drums on our album, which I'm eternally grateful for.
That's amazing. Now, was he in the studio with you when he recorded it?
No, he recorded from his home. What we had to do is set up the song with a click track.
Yeah.
And as long as we are playing to the same click that Joe is, everything's going to sync up.
Okay.
And that's what we did. And that's how the song came out. And when you listen to the song, you're going to think he's right there.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And plus, you didn't have to worry about fanboying the entire time you're in the studio with him.
No, but I would have probably done it.
Yeah.
And the weird, I was thinking about this on the way up here. Rick set everything up. He's got his phone number. I don't. You know, and I guess Rick even knows it. Mike, if I give you this phone number, you're just going to call him up and just ask him questions about every flippin' thing in the world. Yeah, he's probably right. So.
Nah, fair enough. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. We'll see.
So the new album, that one to me, your first album had a much more bluesy sound, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then the new one kind of gave off almost like the Badleys or like, I don't know. First thing I thought of was Third Eye Blind. Hopefully these are.
It's fine.
Yeah.
And Brett Alexander is a magnificent songwriter. I'm privileged to be paired up with that kind of an influence.
Yeah.
He is an amazing songwriter. So if you hear the Badleys' influence in our music, I'm very happy.
Yeah, I mean, phenomenal performers. We interviewed them over the summer. Super nice guys.
Yeah,
and I'm sure you've probably met them over the years
many
times. Yes, yep.
They would come on my show, and even when I was back at 93.5 WTPA, and something would always happen during the interview where everybody would just have to bust up with laughter.
I believe that.
That's just the way that they are.
Yeah,
you know. And I spent one day with them when they were in Harrisburg. They were playing, I can't remember the name of the place now. It was on 2nd Street in Harrisburg. And they came up to me and said, "Would you be interested in playing drums for one song?" Yeah, sure, I'll come up and play drums for them. So I go up and I play drums on Wait, which was an old song by the band.
Mm-hmm.
And then the show was over. They went probably 3-4 years without playing ever again. I felt like, man, I broke them. I'm the last guy that was playing drums with them. They got to get back together and do something. And then they came back for you guys, and they're back together playing shows again. And I feel like everything's the way that it should be in the universe.
Yeah, everything's balanced again, But
yeah, they're back, and that makes me very happy. And I've loved listening to Brett Alexander's songwriting.
Yeah,
either by himself or with the band. I mean, it's just he's an amazing talent.
He is. He really is. Yeah. I mean, it was awesome just to meet them. Like you said, when you would have them on the show, you'd always have a moment where you'd just laugh, and they're just so down to earth, and they're in this area. They're a local legend, know, and
easily.
It's that to me, can certainly be a little bit intimidating, I guess, at first, because you're like, man, these guys are like legends. I don't want to screw up this interview. And they came in, and I was like, "What's up, guys?" And it was just very relaxed,
They're relaxing people to the point where you're not going to feel like, oh man, I better be really good here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll be good. Just let everything happen.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. So I did want to ask before we run out of time. So how, I guess definitively, did you get involved with the Hall of Fame? Did Brandon reach out to you, or did you see this and go, wow, I think this is an awesome thing? And
to be honest with you, I'm trying to remember how it all happened. I think that I was talking to Glenn from the River 97.3, and he had introduced me to Brandon, and I guess at some point in time they tapped me on the shoulder, so would you be interested in doing something with us? And I thought, well, my being on the air and talking about bands and stuff like that, those days are pretty much over, but I'll be happy to help you guys find people. And I thought I was going to be kind of in the back seat, just kind of not attracting attention to myself. And Then I get a phone call, saying, Mike, you want to come down and be interviewed? I'm like, huh? It was surprising to me. Here I am. I'm happy to be here, though.
Is it kind of weird? The tables are turned. You're not interviewing. You're being interviewed.
It is kind of weird because I spent so many so many years going. So tell me about the time you decided to pick up a guitar and become a rock star. We're not having those conversations, but it's weird, but it's okay.
Yeah. Well, feel free to critique me at the end of this. You have way many years.
Fine.
Oh, great. Well, thank you very much. Well, and also thank you very much for your time and coming on tonight. We greatly appreciate that. Do you have any shows coming up this summer or anything you want to plug real quick before we take you out of here?
I don't I don't know what we have coming up in the near future. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to be doing with ourselves.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I don't have any dates to give you right now, but as soon as I do, I'll make sure to slide you guys some kind of a notice. Hey, we're going to be playing at this gas station or wherever it is we're going to be at.
Denny's,
Denny's, yeah.
Gotcha.
We'll be playing for the breakfast crowd that day.
Love it. All right, well, we'll make sure we link all that in the description and make sure that people can find your information, all right?
I hope so. Thank you.
Of course, thank you. Needless to say, that was a great conversation with Michael. Please stay tuned for our interview and live performance from Jake Mach. We are here with Jake Mach from Glen Rock, Pennsylvania. He is a singer-songwriter. Jake, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So you're a country artist, like I said, singer-songwriter. Let's kind of start at the beginning. How'd you get into making music and doing all this?
So, like a lot of people, I feel like I've been writing my whole life as long as I could remember. I started learning guitar at 8 years old. I wouldn't say I really started doing music, like coming out of my shell per se, so I was in the Navy, and I was stationed on the USNS Comfort. And we did like 4 months down in South America. And while we were there, the MWR, which is the people that set up like all the morale building stuff, to keep your spirits high when you're out there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They scheduled a thing and they set it up, and it was called Comfort's Got Talent. And it's exactly what you think it is. It's like a multi-week talent show type thing.
Okay.
I ended up winning, and then while I was on there, obviously word got around, ain't nothing to do on the ship, so everybody was there for it. So they just started asking, where can I listen to your music? You got any more? Do you write all your own stuff? And it was kind of like, yeah, I do my own stuff, but I don't have my music out anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever excuses, and enough people were asking me that. So for winning, I got a PlayStation VR. So the second we got off the ship, I sold the VR, flipped it for a Scarlett 2i2 and a Pro Tools subscription, and put out my first album on Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff.
My God, that's awesome.
It was I like to think it was a good investment.
Yeah, certainly. How long ago was this?
That was the beginning of 2020, I believe.
Okay.
And then I put the album out in October of 2020.
That's amazing. Wow.
Thanks.
So you didn't have any music out previous. You just played a lot of covers and kind of some of your own songs, I guess.
I mean, so I played around. I was in bands all throughout school, and my buddy, his dad was a sound engineer, so he had an analog studio in his basement. So we would mess around on that, and I did that. And I had a cousin that graduated from Sheffield Institute down in Jarrettsville, I think it is.
Okay.
So once he graduated, we went and recorded some stuff there, but it was all for CDs, and it was serious, but it wasn't like I thought I was going to make a career out of it. It was like I wanted to put an album out just for the sake of doing it, just because I like making music.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until the comfort and putting stuff on streaming, because the Navy sends people all over the place, and you can't trust a CD. Everybody's got Spotify, so they were like, put it on here, and I could put my friends on, or I could listen out on deployment. And
perfect. It works, right?
yeah.
So have you always been a country artist, or have you dabbled in other genres, or?
I had some phases.
I was like in a metal band back in the day?
No, I was in an alternative band, and then I had a few years where I was really into rap, but obviously I'm not a rapping or nothing. I was just into it.
Yeah.
But I was making alternative music, and I was kind of into some heavier stuff, and then I kind of realized I'd grown up on country, and it's kind of what I fell into, and just because I can relate to everything. I can't relate to everything on like a metal record. I can relate to just about everything on a country record.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I listened to your album, earlier this week, and certainly can write a country album without a doubt. I mean, you nailed it. Yeah. So, I mean, you started recording music back in 2020. When did you? So you won an award last year from the Hall of Fame, didn't you? No,
No,
so you were nominated.
Yeah, I was nominated for Best Male Country Artist.
Best Male Country Artist. Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. And you've played with some of the previous guests. We talked earlier. You said you know Cody Tyler of Cody Tyler and Gypsy Convoy, correct?
Yep, I know him. I haven't opened for him per se. But
Okay.
I played the same festival as him as he set up, but
Nice.
maybe one day. Cody, if you're watching, I don't know which camera I'm looking at.
There
If
you
you're
go.
watching and you need an opener, I got you, man.
That'd be awesome. Cody's a great guy. So, I mean, when did you put out your last album?
So I put an EP out in March of last year called
Okay.
Valley Tapes, and that was just something where I wanted to put together a bunch of songs that were either true or they were based on true stuff. And everything on there, every song meant a lot to me. Every song had its own story that I could tell, and I recorded it with Troy Angle, who's a bluegrass virtuoso. He could play every stringed instrument you can think of, and he produces all my new music. He and I worked on that project, and because it's in Glen Rock and it was about a lot of these stories were from Glen Rock. Glen Rock's a valley, so we called it Valley Tapes.
That's amazing. Wow, that's awesome. And
Thanks.
so, I mean, could you tell us a little bit more about, what made some of these tracks so deep to you? Or
Well, the biggest one is called 95, and so my wife now, Mackenzie, when we first started seeing each other, I was stationed down in Virginia, and it was about 6-ish hours away, and I was working weekend overnight shift at the hospital, so we would take turns between me driving up to see her driving down to see me. But when I would drive up to see her, because I worked the weekends, it would be like 7 a.m. Monday morning. I get off, hop in the car, make a 6-hour drive home. And it was just long distance, and, it was tough. And if anybody's done long distance, then they know it's not for the faint of heart.
mm-hmm.
But I like to think it worked out, and that song was about the first year we were together and all the miles we put on the highway, and I love that track.
That's
And
amazing.
I feel like you can really hear the emotion in it.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I mean, certainly sounds like a great. I didn't listen to that one yet, but I'll make sure I go ahead and check it out. That's a great story. So,
Thank you.
of course, and then you put out a new single this summer as well, correct?
Yep, Secondhand Silverado. And that one was just more of a feel-good song. I feel like Valley Tapes, as much as I loved it, it was pretty heavy. I just wanted to put out a single that was like something you want to put on in the car and put the windows down to and make you kind of reminisce about getting your first car. So,
Yeah.
Secondhand Silverado.
That's fair. I mean, I listened to it in the car for the first time and definitely got that feeling from it.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, you've been consistently putting out music. It sounds like you've been playing a lot of shows. What's next for you?
I think the biggest thing this year I want to try to do is to open for more people.
Yeah.
I got the chance to open for a few local bands last year. Bobby Law being one of them. I think he got nominated last year and this year for Best Country Band. You heard me talk about Cody Tyler. I'd like to open for him, even though I kind of came close. But, I just want to open for more people. I had my opportunities last year, and I got the chance to open for Shane Prophet at the York Fair on the Froggy 1077 stage, and it went amazing.
Oh, that's great.
And thank you. And it was just awesome. It went so well, and I hope that I did enough to put a good case in for myself, so whenever somebody's looking for an opener, I'm on the short list to get a phone call.
Yeah. Well, I think if you keep trucking away at the rate you are right now, soon enough you're going to be surpassing opening and maybe headlining here soon.
That'd be incredible.
Yeah.
Small steps.
Yeah. Hey man, you got to walk before you can run, right?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. So what are you nominated for this year again?
It's my second year being nominated for Best Male Country Artist.
Best Male Country Artist.
Yep.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, nominations are open now, so we got to make sure people get out there and vote, of course.
Yep.
So, I mean, you've been playing music since you were 8 years old. You said 27 now.
Yep.
Okay, I got you. So, I mean, where do you want to be with the music in, let's say 10 years from now?
So, because I've been playing for so long and playing out, I've come to realize that I think my favorite part of the process is the writing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say playing out for so long, I mean like in bands, going through school and stuff like that. Not so much being a solo artist. I've had a chance to really take in what it's like to be part of a band and what it's like to be up on stage as a solo guy. But what it really comes down to is I just love being a songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, I would love to just be able to pitch my songs to people, have people play my songs, maybe do a few opening things here and there. But I love writing songs.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like songwriting is definitely your favorite part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. So when would you say you started writing songs? When you were 8 years old and started playing guitar? Or?
Before that, probably.
Really?
6 or 7. They didn't make no sense.
Well, yeah, I mean.
Just throwing some words together in a little melody, and, it didn't make any sense. I'm sure grammatically it was horrendous. But Yeah, like my whole life, man.
Yeah.
I was in middle school just like writing in a little notebook, little songs, and with no intentions of actually putting them out into the world. I used to make like little videos just for my friends and stuff like that, but
I understand that. I was kind of the same way, I guess, as a kid. Never really planned on putting anything out there, but was always writing my own music, and it's something that it can be special just to yourself, and it's just something that you can really enjoy, whether you're sharing it with people or you're just sharing with yourself what you're writing, and kind of using that therapy of just writing out there and getting out your emotions, whether it's happy or sad or whatever it is that you're feeling at that time.
Yeah, and I think with the comfort thing, when I was on there, when everybody was really connecting with my songs, that's when it was kind of like, I have so many of these. You mean to tell me that you guys like get these to the point where you want me to hear them? And at that point, it was like, I've been writing for so long. How do I pick from all these songs which ones to put on this album?
Yeah. How many would you say you had?
Oh, it was over 100. And
Oh my
obviously,
God.
well, most of them were probably duds.
I mean,
But
you say that, but we don't know that.
yeah, that's true. But no, 8 went on there, and a lot of that was I didn't have the means to put certain songs out. Like I was looking for a certain sound in a song, and like I don't play fiddle. I had guitar, drum patches on MIDI, and bass. Like that was it. So I was kind of limited to what I could do. And it wasn't until I started working with Troy Angle that it was like, okay, he could put fiddle, he could put mandolin, dobro, pedal steel. I got a buddy that plays piano, so we can get him on piano and B3 organ and stuff like that. So it really opened up the possibilities when I started working with Troy and being able to put these songs out the way I wanted them to sound.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Do you think over time you'll maybe start to pull from those songs that you've written years ago as you kind of develop them, develop more of a sound into what you really want and then record them and put them on an album?
I've thought about that, yeah. We're actually thinking about re-releasing my song Dust on the Road just with Troy because I feel like we can get the sound that I envisioned when I originally wrote the song. And that song means so much to me, and I love being able to play that in my hometown and just around the area. So just being able to re-release that with somebody from back home I think would mean a lot. And that was my wife's idea to do that.
I think that's a brilliant idea. Great idea. And I mean, a lot of people do that in several bands. I mean, tons of people re-release songs, and it's okay to have two versions of it. And then that's always going to bring up the argument of which one's better as well. You know?
Taylor Swift's doubling everything.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, I didn't think about that. She really is, man.
She said, "Give me them masters. We're doing this again."
So you think you're going to try to open for Taylor Swift coming up here?
Oh God, no.
I think you probably could.
I don't think anybody can open for Taylor Swift. I feel like Taylor going up there for 3 hours doing her thing, and
that's true.
I wouldn't want to go on before that.
That would be a very long concert with the openers, I guess, if you had like 3 of them.
Who's going to remember me after Taylor Swift walks on that stage?
I mean, that was a real thing. People were talking about having like what were they calling it? Swiftie amnesia, I think is what they were saying. They're like blacking out, not remember the entire concert because they were having such a blast. I'm not even joking.
Really?
Yeah, I read an article on it. I'm like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. I mean, that tour is amazing, though.
Oh, yeah.
She's doing great things. I mean, I'm sure you heard the rumor she was giving like $100,000 to each and every single helper.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
What she's doing and what she's done is incredible. I would not want to go on stage before her.
I don't blame you. I would love to get her on the show, but honestly, I think I would just crumble because I would be so nervous.
It can't hurt, man. Reach out.
Taylor, if you see this, please. Yeah, that's amazing. So can we go back to when you were on the USS Comfort? I feel like there could definitely be some more stories in there. Were you just playing concerts in there after you did the talent show, or?
Well, so I obviously was going to bring my guitar on anyway because there is some downtime. It's a hospital ship. We do surgeries and we check in people and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, working hours are a set number of times. So after people would eat, I would just be up there playing guitar.
And then the mess hall, or basically, or like down in the mess hall, or what?
No, I was stationed in sterile processing, and there was like a little area that wasn't like the sterile area. It was just kind of like in sort of office-y.
Okay.
And that's kind of where everybody would hang out. So like we'd all come up there after we ate, and we play spades or something like that, or we play blackjack. We had a TV that we strapped to the wall just because in case of high seas you don't want it falling.
Yeah.
And somebody brought an Xbox, so we hooked that up. So we had like Madden from like 2012.
Nice.
We had like the old Madden, so that's where everybody hung out. But once I started playing, people would just ask me to play my stuff, and I had a book of songs that I'd written. I want to say it was only like a year's worth of writing, and songs that I'd written since being on the ship, and I would just pull from that. And then somebody said that once we got to the med sites, they were going to want entertainment. So I was playing acoustic guitar while somebody else sang and shredded on like all these songs like Tom Petty and Pink Floyd and The Doors and stuff like that.
That's amazing.
So I was just on the background for that. So we'd play for like sometimes 6-8 hours a day at the med sites, just keeping the locals occupied while they were waiting in line to get checked out.
That's awesome. 6 to 8 hours a day.
Oh yeah, them calluses was rough.
I was gonna say, like, you got some real calluses at that point.
Oh yeah, it was hot too because we were in South America.
Jesus, man.
I think my favorite story from that was I don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not, but the country we were in, their military base had a bunch of goats running around, and we had some people that spoke Spanish, and they were like, what's up with these goats? Why? And they were like, well, we're responsible for cutting the grass, so either we go and cut the grass or we just let the goats roam free and they eat it. So like, y'all are geniuses.
That is smart. Did you get to pet any of them?
I wasn't touching them.
Yeah,
They're gonna bite me.
Yeah, that's true. Then you're gonna end up on the medical ship yourself.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Are you? I guess it's kind of off topic, but were you a medic in the military or?
Yeah, I was a hospital corpsman and a surgical tech.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, before the military, did you have much of a music career then, or?
Somewhat, yeah. I mean, I wasn't playing out, but like I said, I was always writing. And right before I shipped out for the Navy, I'd put together an album with my cousin, who was the one that recorded down at Sheffield Institute.
Okay. And
we put that out, and I pretty much dropped that in October, shipped out in December, and said, "See, I hope you guys liked it."
That's awesome.
And I got people come up nowadays, and they're like, "I still have that album," and I'm like, "Please throw that out." Like, can you sign it? No.
Wow, come on.
No, I'll sign it, but like,
it's gonna be worth some money someday.
Oh man, I wish. Like, can you sign it? I'm like, I'm not proud of how this sounds. It's like when I listen back to all my stuff that I recorded and produced myself, I'm like, I'm not a producer. I can only mix so well. I'd love to be able to remix my stuff and put it out there, but no, the way Troy mixes everything, it sounds so much more professional, and it feels like such a finished product, and I could not be happier with how those songs turn out. Yeah,
that's amazing. That's great. So you're from Glen Rock, Pennsylvania, and it seems like you said whenever you got out of the military, you wanted to come right back home to Glen Rock.
Yeah.
So is it just because you were born and raised there, you love your hometown? I mean, it sounds like in your songs, even Dust on the Road, you give shout-outs. You said something about living 20 minutes from the Mason-Dixon.
Yeah.
So what do you find so special about Glen Rock that you know, not that there's not anything special about it, but, I mean, what's your draw to it, I guess?
I don't know what it is, but like I feel like there's so many people I meet that are like that never left, and they're like, I can't wait to get out of here. I can't wait. It's awful, and then you move away and you realize like there's certain things that you just love about living here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm in the Glen Rock Carolers. I love that we have the star on top of the hill every year. I love getting to come home and see that star like way up there on the hill, and it just kind of makes everything feel like home.
Yeah.
So I knew when I wanted to move back, it was like I'm moving back for good. I don't want to leave. I don't want to go somewhere where I don't feel like I'm at home anymore.
That's a great answer. So now when you perform, we're going to be doing a live performance here coming up soon. When you perform, are you strictly acoustic, just you, or do you have a band that tours with you or plays shows with you at all?
Nope, it's just me.
Just you?
Yep.
Do you have plans of developing a band in the future, or just kind of letting it roll?
Just kind of letting it roll. I mean, it's something I've considered, but I feel like what I'm doing right now is working, and it's all I really need for right now.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. That's awesome. All right, well,
thank you.
Of course. Well, I guess we'll keep in contact, and we'll make sure we tag all your socials on here, so that way people can stay up to date with any new music or upcoming shows. I'm sure we'll have some stuff coming up this summer.
Yep.
And we're gonna be doing a live performance. What song are we doing tonight?
We're gonna do "Dust on the Road."
Dust on the Road. All right. Well, stay tuned for "Dust on the Road," and thanks for checking it out.
Hi, my name is Jake Mach. I'm from Glen Rock, Pennsylvania, and I'm going to play you a song called "Dust on the Road." Grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania, 20-minute walk from the Mason-Dixon. I know it don't seem like much a glorious life. There ain't much to see but a 2-pump gas stop, a drive-through blink. You missed it mapped out, but I grew my blood in love between these county lines. The Wasn't much to do, so we just rode around. When it's all said and done, I'll settle down in my home, in my place, where every Sunday morning you hear the choir sing Amazing Grace. Just a couple miles off of 83, over the hills and in between the trees. And if you're looking for me, you can go where the old man and the mountain laurels grow, where there's dust on the road. In the misty dew of the springtime morning, there's kids and pappies out on Cadorus, baiting hooks and casting rod and reel. Good luck trying to find a place to park on a Friday night when the marching band starts and the home team hauls their asses on the field. And if you come on round about that time of year, you see the big star shining down from high up on the hill. On my home, on my place, where every Sunday morning you hear the choir sing Amazing Grace. Just a couple miles of 83, over the hills and in between the trees. And if you're looking for me, you can go where the old man and the mountain laurels grow, where there's dust on the road. Sitting on an outskirt piece of land is the house my grandpa built with his bare hand. And every time I cross some rusty old train tracks, I go back. My home, my place, where every Sunday morning you hear the choir sing Amazing Grace. Just a couple miles off 83, over the hills and in between the trees, is my home, my roots. It's where I'll always have a bed to lay and a place to kick my boots. Just a couple miles off of 216, follow the trail till you reach the creek. And if you're ever in need to cleanse your soul, you'll always be welcome to go where there's dust on the road. Where there's dust on the road. My dust on the road. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you for having me. And I got a new song called Over coming out on February 16th, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Thank you guys.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you check out Jake's new single coming up here. And as always, we'll see you next time.